Great. Thank you everybody for joining our session today. My name is Neeraj Kumar, and I'm lead cloud architect. I'm also a Microsoft certified trainer, and I've been in industry for 17 years and working primarily on Azure, Microsoft Private Cloud, and VMware, and also Microsoft Stack. And today we are going to talk about Exchange Online Advanced session. That is today's, we have divided this session in two parts, day 1 and day 2. And these sessions are part of our AzureTalk session. So AzureTalk is a weekly or bi-weekly sessions where we cover beginners, advanced level topics. And in advanced series, we have covered, more than 32 sessions. In total, we have covered 40 plus topics, and we have developed 40 plus sessions on weekends. And you can find all our previous recording and all those sessions on our YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/c/AzureTalk. We also have, I know most of you are part of our AzureTalk community group. If you are not, it's AzureTalk instant messenger based community group. We have people in where you can post your questions and you get your answers. So we have two community group. One is for Azure. So in case if you have any question for Azure, you can post those questions and you can join that group. It's a Telegram group. It's https://t.me/AzureTalk. We also have our O365 and EMS Telegram group, which you can join, t.me/O365Talk. And in fact, this session has been sponsored, rather, is being conducted by our O365 moderator, Abhijit Chakrabarti. So to give a little bit about Abhijit Chakrabarti background, he's senior technical architect. He's based out of Kolkata. He has total 16 years of industry experience, and he extensively worked on messaging and collaboration piece. And he brings in a lot of knowledge on O365 onto the table. And most of you would have seen his responses in O365Talk Telegram group. So in case if you have any questions, please do join our group. So these two groups are there to be, you can post all your questions. With that, I will hand over to Abhijit. He will walk us through today's agenda, and then he will run I will not, going to take further time. I will let Abhijit run the show from here on. Abhijit, over to you.
Thank you, Neeraj, for the introduction. So, good evening, guys. So my name is Avijit. Like Neeraj has already introduced myself, so I am having close to 16 years of experience in Microsoft Stack. I am the senior technical architect, and I take care of the Active Directory, the messaging and collaboration solution, the document management, that is the SharePoint solution, as well as I'm the cloud architect for Office 365. And like Neeraj told that you can actually join our O365 Telegram group, and you can get a hold of all these free weekly sessions that we are conducting, as well as if you are facing any challenges in your Office 365, so you can easily post on those groups, and we will try to solve it as soon as possible. So to continue this, we have decided, this is the second Office 365 session that we are conducting. So the first session that we have conducted, it was a basic Office 365 session, which has given an idea about what Office 365 is all about, what are the products, and what are the licensing models. So keeping in continuation of that, we have decided of going for a hands-on kind of a session. And so we have picked one of the product of Office 365, that is Exchange Online. And this particular session has been divided into 2 days, though if you talk about Exchange Online, it is so vast, and whatever the things that is there in Exchange Online, it is actually not possible to complete it within 2 days, and actually within 3 hours. but still I have managed to summarize the things in 2 days. So in this particular session, we will be trying to do the basics of Exchange, and in day 2 session, we will be going deep dive into the Exchange. So as per today's agenda, so we will be giving you an idea about an overview of Exchange evaluation, like from the day Exchange has come up into the market till the day Exchange is now on. Then we will give you a walkthrough with Exchange administrative tools, like what are the administrative tools with the help of which you can manage both your on-premise as well as your cloud Exchange. Then we will go for how to work with Exchange recipients, like what are the recipients that is there in Office 365 Exchange or Exchange Online. I will give you a short demo about Exchange recipients, like how you can create an Exchange recipient both with the help of a admin console, that is the Exchange admin console ESE, and both with the help of PowerShell. Then we will work with the mailbox management options. So what are the management options that you can import on a particular mailbox? Then we will work on what are the permission sets that is there when you are administering an Office 365 tenant. So what are the permission sets that you can set in an Office 365 tenant? And last is I have a couple of scripts which is already prepared. So I will show you all those scripts, and it will be basically a 15-minute session on advanced level of Exchange with the help of PowerShell. So starting with our first agenda, that is the Exchange Server evaluation. So once we talk about Exchange, so Exchange is basically started in the year 91. So I'm talking about Exchange 2.0. So at that point of time, the software was not named as Exchange. So it was Mail Messaging 2.0, from which Microsoft has come up within the mail messaging solution. So from 1991 to 1997, so there are a couple of various versions that has come up into the market. So starting from Mail Messaging 2.0, then it has come with Mail Messaging 3.0, then Exchange 4.0, Exchange 5.5. In year 1997, Exchange 5.5 has come. From 97, the next Exchange version which has come, it has come on Exchange 2000 Enterprise Server. So that's a big jump that Microsoft has done with respect to Exchange architecture. So in Exchange 5.5, the architectures were something different. It was a single box architecture. That means in Exchange 5.5, you will be needing a single server where you can install the entire Exchange. From Exchange 2000 Enterprise Server, Microsoft has come up with separate technologies on Exchange. They have come up with clustering concepts, what we call it as clustering concept now. So at that point of time, there was no concept of clustering. So it was a primary Exchange server and secondary Exchange server, because in Exchange 2000, it actually runs on Windows 2000 Advanced Server. So if anyone has scope of working on Windows 2000 Advanced Server, so you may be knowing that there was a concept of PDC and BDC at that point of time. So likewise, there was a concept of primary Exchange server and secondary Exchange server in case of Exchange 2000. Then after Exchange 2000, in the year 2003, Microsoft has launched with Exchange Server 2003. So the concept of replication, the concept of mail administration, creation of mail enabled users, creation of mailbox enabled users. So I will be coming up with all these terms later in my slides. So all these new features which has come on Exchange Server 2003. So in the year 2003, in Exchange 2003, that was also a concept which has come up. In the year 2007, after means Microsoft has kept a long gap with respect to Exchange version upgradation. So from 2003, the next Exchange version which has come up is Exchange Server 2007. So in the year 2007, Microsoft has come up with Exchange Server 2007. Now, with respect to Exchange Server 2007, in Exchange Server 2007, that is the only version where Microsoft has separates the mailbox server with the Exchange mailing solution. So when you are deploying an Exchange Server 2007, you actually need two servers. One server will be having the mailbox. All the mailbox will be stored in one server, and in second server, all the routings and all the mail flows and everything will be stored. So from Exchange 2007, the next big jump or architectural jump that Microsoft has done, it was done on 2010, on Exchange Server 2010. Microsoft has come up with three basic roles, or rather I should say four basic roles of Exchange. Instead of putting all the roles into a single server, Microsoft has bifurcated the entire Exchange architecture into four different roles. So first role is the mailbox role. Mailbox role is a particular that role which will hold all the user mailboxes. That means any mail IDs which you create, it actually gets stored in the mailbox role, right? Now, once that user is created, if the user is actually sending mails, that particular hierarchy of mails, that particular flow of mails will be maintained by another server which is known as hub or cache. Cache is client access server and hub server. So hub and cache role is actually that role which actually takes care of the entire mailbox mail flow within the organization and outside the organization, right? The third role which Microsoft has come up with is edge server. Now once we talk about edge server, like since you are sending mails outside your domain as well, means within your local network, apart from that you are sending mails outside your local network. So in order to protect your inside network, Microsoft has come up with a server or with a role which is known as edge server role. So that particular role will be internet facing, and we can configure a single server with the help of edge server roles. That server will be having two NIC cards. One will be facing your internal network, another will be facing your external network, and that edge server will communicate with each other. That edge server will be communicating with each other with that of your internal server. So any mails, like if I give you a brief idea about the mail flow, like once a user sends a mail, that particular first exchange goes to your Active Directory, gets the authentication information from the Active Directory. If the authentication information is correct, then Exchange actually searches that particular user, whether that particular user is actually an internal user or an external user. If that particular user is an internal user, so with the help of your internal DNS IP addresses, it will actually flow that mail to your hub server, and hub server will deliver it to your internal address or internal user. Now, if that mail is for an external user, what the hub server will do is that it will identify that that particular domain is not a trusted domain or not a domain which is internally configured. It's a domain which is configured outside. So it will automatically forward that particular request to the DNS. In the DNS, we have configured MX records, that is the mail exchange records. That mail exchange records is actually communicating with your external domain FQDN, the domain that you have procured from your vendor. So that particular MX record is configured with that. So it will actually forward it to the MX record, and MX record will automatically forward it via the edge server. It will forward it to your outside. So that is one of the concepts which has come up in Exchange Server 2010. After that, Exchange Server 2013, which has come up in Windows, which has come up in the year 2013. In that also, the concept of cluster has been changed by Microsoft. Like in Exchange Server 2010, the plain and simple concept was like, if you want to create an Exchange Server cluster, so you have to install your Windows Server failover cluster. Then with the help of the Exchange setup files, you can configure your Exchange Server, right? And you need to, for doing a cluster in Exchange Server 2010, you need to have a SAN connectivity. That means you need to have a storage, SAN storage in your network to be configured, and you need to connect your Exchange Server 2010 with the help of a SAN storage, right? Whereas in case of Exchange Server 2013, Microsoft has come up with a new high availability model, which is known as DAG, that is Database Availability Group. right? So in database availability group, what you can do is that uh, Microsoft has come up with a concept which is known as a witness server. Excuse me, witness server. That means you can create a file share within your network. That file share can be in some other server. The file share can be a share located in your SAN device. It can be a share located in your NAS device. So you can actually connect that particular file share within your DAG, and within that particular DAG you can connect your multiple servers. Like if you have two mailbox servers, so you can connect your two mailbox servers. That witness server will actually hold the configuration file of your clusters or the configuration file of your high availability environment, and they will actually communicate with that witness server, right? So that's a new concept which has come up with in Exchange Server 2013. In Exchange Server 2013 also, the roles were different. The roles were same like that of Exchange Server 2010. So we have mailbox role, we have hub and cache role, we have edge servers role, and there is another role which has come up. I forgot to tell you in Exchange Server 2010. So there was another role which was known as unified communication role, right? So unified communication service. So it actually can, with the help of this UFS, you can actually communicate. You can actually create a voice based communication with the help of your Exchange servers. Like if you are installing Skype with that of on the top of Exchange, so from your Exchange server, you can actually you can actually create on those Exchange servers, you can actually integrate your Skype for Business with that, or that with, or maybe a link server with that of Exchange, and they can actually interoperate with each other, right? So in Exchange Server 2016, again there was change in the architecture. So what is the architecture now? Current architecture is, this is the latest version of Exchange Server 2016, though I haven't taken Exchange Server 2018, which is now a beta release. So since it's a beta release, so I haven't taken it, considered it in my release history. But Exchange Server 2018 is already released by Microsoft. It's a beta release which has been done. Whereas in Exchange Server 2016, the changes that has been done is that Microsoft has eradicated this 4 different roles. So currently there is only one role which is known as mailbox role. So once you communicate or once you configure your mailbox role, actually in that mailbox server, you are actually installing your hub role, your cache role also, right? So there are no three separate roles. There is only one server which is required, your mailbox server. That server will be having your mailbox role, your hub role, and your cache role. And if you want, or if your network is needed, that you can also create an edge role as well, right? So since we are talking about Office 365, since we are talking about Exchange Online, so from the year 2010, Microsoft has come up with this mailing solution on the cloud concept. So in 2010, that entire Office 365, what we call now, so that Office 365 was something different. At that point of time, it was called as BPOS, or Business Process Online Services. And in that particular role, in that particular model, you are having Office communication server, like we are now doing as Skype for Business. You have Exchange solution, you have Skype for Business, right? So all this was at that point of time was known as Business Process Online Services, BPOS. When Exchange Server 2013 comes into picture, or rather in Exchange Server 2016, now we call it as Office 365, right? So so you can actually you can tell that in current Office 365, when Office 365 has come up into the market, so Office 365 was actually running on Exchange Server 2013, right? And currently, whatever the users or whatever the customers who are using Exchange Online now, so they were actually using Exchange Server 2016. So this is the sweetness of a cloud model, like whether there is any upgrade which is happening in your application. So now maybe in due course of time, when Exchange Server 2018 will come out from its beta phase and then go to its actual phase, So maybe in the backend, Office 365 Exchange Server 2016 will also be upgraded to Exchange Server 2018. So that's the sweetness of being on the cloud. And there are other things as well. So you maybe the people who have joined my last session, they know that there are other features, that there are other availabilities, there are other advantages also in going to the cloud. So this is the actual Exchange release history. So from Exchange Server, from Mail Messaging 2.0, which has come up on 1991, to Exchange Server 2016, maybe Exchange Server 2018. So this long 16 years, 16, 17 years, Microsoft is there in mail messaging solution. And if you talk about enterprise grade mails now, standing in current IT infrastructure, so any customers, if you're talking about enterprise grade mail, so Exchange Server is one of the product which comes up into the into everyone's knowledge, right? Okay, so up to this, like, is there any questions, anything that you guys want to know about any versions of Exchange? Okay, so I think Ashish wants to ask something. Oh, thanks, Ashish. So
Yeah, I think you so far you have explained the in a very good way, and I think we are very clear about the evolution of Exchange and the release history. So I think at this point of time we don't have any questions. And guys, if you have any questions, for quality's sake, we have muted the participant, but don't be discouraged. You can type your question in the chat, and we will actively respond to those questions. Or we can, if you need to speak up, you can raise your hand in the chat, or you can let us know in the chat, and we will unmute yourself. So thank you. Keep your question coming in the chat.
okay, so now we have talked about much about Exchange versions and Exchange histories and everything. So now let's jump onto the actual Office 365 Exchange Online, right? So during this session, in quite a few times, I will be talking about Exchange Online and vis-a-vis with Exchange On-Premise. So, like, taking in view of this slide, like Exchange administrative tools. So if you are talking about Exchange administrative tools, so we have two tools with the help of which Exchange we can work on Exchange. One is the dashboard itself. So you have Exchange Administrative Console. So though this EAC or Exchange Administrative Console has come up from Windows from Exchange Server 2013. So you can have a browser-based console, or if you want to work on a very active way or on a very automated way, we can also work on Exchange Server PowerShell, right? So Exchange Server PowerShells as well. Okay, so I think Vipin has something. Any difference in roles in 2013 and 2016? Vipin, there is no difference in roles in Exchange Server 2013 or 16. The only difference is that in Exchange Server 2013, there were separate servers which is required. Means as per, I'm talking about as per Microsoft best practices. So you need to have a separate server for mailbox. You need to have a separate server for hub and cache, and you need to have a separate server for edge if you want to publish an edge server in your network. Whereas in case of Exchange Server 2016, during the setup process, you can see that all these roles are now into a single role. Like there will be only one checkbox where you can check as mailbox, cache, and hub role. So with respect to functionality, there is no role difference between Exchange 2013 or Exchange 2016. Okay. Okay, so like I was saying that so we have two tools with the help of which we can work on Exchange. One is the dashboard, the GUI. Most of the users' favorite tool, the GUI mode, the graphics user interface mode, which actually works on IIS and .NET 3.5 for Exchange Server 2013 and .NET 4.0 for Exchange Server 2016. And we have Exchange PowerShell. So like if you talk about me, I prefer to work on PowerShell more rather than working on Exchange Administrative Console, because there are many things in due course of time, you will be coming up in this session. There are many things which you cannot work on or which you cannot configure in GUI and which can easily be configured in PowerShell, right? So these are the two tools with the help of which you can work on Exchange on-premise as well as in Exchange Office in Office 365. Okay. So now once we are talking about Office 365, so let me give you a command, or let me show you how you can connect. Like if you want to connect Exchange Online from GUI, so it's pretty much easy. So you have to log into your administrative console of Office 365, and there you can directly go to your Exchange administration console. I will show you in my demo, but there is some differences, or there are some difference which if you want to work in Exchange PowerShell, right? So once you are working on PowerShell, what you have to do is that first you have to get yourself hooked up with Office 365 Exchange Online. Once you are hooked up, then you have to download all the commands. In PowerShell we call it as cmdlets. So you have to download all the cmdlets, and then once you are downloading the cmdlets, then you can actually work on the PowerShell, right? So to connect Exchange Online, so these are the commands which you have to use. So I will actually show you in my demo. So so this particular command is actually helps you. Just a minute. This particular command, this is the typical command where you have to use in each and every PowerShell command, because what Microsoft PowerShell has been designed in such a way that if you want to execute any commandlets, or if you want to execute any commands, so you have to first digitally sign it, right? So, and only a particular digital signed cmdlets can only be executed in your PowerShell console, right? So in order to execute that, so maybe in many cases you will find issues, like if you are connected in your Exchange Online, you are hooked up with your Exchange, but once you are trying to use a particular command, it is actually showing you an error, digital sign not present, right? So in order to eradicate that, you have to first, once you open your administrative console or a PowerShell in admin mode, this is the first command that you have to execute: set-execution policy remote sign. Now once you click on that, I will show you in my demo. Once you click on that, it will ask you whether you want to remotely sign all the cmdlets that you want to connect. So you have to say to yes. Once the remote sign is done, then you have to run a command as I have just created a variable. So like anything which starts with a dollar is actually a variable. So I have taken the particular credential, that means Office 365 user ID and password, into a particular variable which is known as $user credential. So once you run this command, it will pop up a window where you will be having an option to put your user ID and password. Okay. Once this user ID and password is put, you have to connect the particular Office 365 session. So this is the command with the help of which you can actually connect your Office 365 session. New PS session is PowerShell session, -configuration name, Microsoft.exchange, -connection URI. This is actually the URL with the help of which you can actually work on PowerShell. It's https://outlook.office365.com/PowerShell-liveid -credential.user credential. So now you can understand like why I have taken this user credential into a variable, right? So once you put this user ID and password, in this variable, so I can call that variable in this particular command, and I can flow that user ID and password within this command. Authentication will be always basic, and if you don't give this syntax as allow redirection, what happens is that with respect to Office 365 connecting to Exchange Online, what Microsoft has done is that based on the geographical location, they have changed the connection URI. Okay, so for APAC region, for EMEA region, this is the connection URI, http://outlook.office365.com. But if you want to connect into some from different location, maybe from Germany, so this connection URI will be something different. So for a user like us, or for maybe for the technical persons like us, so it will not be possible for us to know whether you are connecting from APAC location, and for APAC location what is the URI, for Germany location what is the URI, for EMEA location what is the URI. So what I have done is that I have given a command of my -allow redirection. Allow redirection will actually redirect you based on your location. It will act based on the location of your tenant. So the user ID and password that you have provided, so that actually is the password for your tenant, and it is actually holding in one of the Microsoft data centers. It can be a data center within India, it can be a data center in Singapore, or maybe it can be a data center in EMEA location, or maybe in Germany location. So based on the user ID and password that you have provided, based on the tenant from where location you have provided, it will actually automatically redirect you to that particular URI. Okay, so once you are hooked up with this user ID and password, next command is import -ps session $session. So in this particular variable which we have defined, I am actually downloading all the commandlets, all the commands within this particular session, and actually I will work on this session for this entire period. Okay, so I have missed a particular command. So if you are over with your PowerShell and if you want to disconnect the PowerShell or disconnect the session, so instead of import -ps session, the command will be remove -ps session $session. Okay, so now I am just stopping my my presentation because I want to share my desktop, and guys, let me know once you can view my desktop. So because whatever the commands that I have shown you, so let's go and see it in practical. So so guys, can you see my desktop? Hello?
Yes, Abhijit, we are able to view your screen.
Okay, fine. So so I have already created a PS file. So in the PowerShell IAC, I have already created a list of commands that I will be showing you in this presentation. So can you see my PowerShell IAC console? Is it visible?
Yes, it is visible. Yep.
Okay, fine. So see, whatever the commands that I have shown you, so these are the commands that is there. So if you want to connect your Exchange Online, so first you have to run the set execution policy remote sign. Now let me tell you one thing.
Abhijit, a quick request. Can you maximize the PowerShell window and increase the font size if that's possible?
So is it visible now?
Yeah, it is visible. And can you maximize it?
So it's actually in full screen.
No, so if you can minimize the lower window, okay, we probably will not require the command prompt at this point of time. So, yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah, or you can click on the third link on, next to the PowerShell icon, which is on the top, third link. That will give us the full window. Yeah, this third. Sorry, the window. So if you come, there is a window. There is a PowerShell icon, right, in your toolbar.
Yeah.
Next to that, if you can click on the layout, not there, in the ISC, toolbar.
Okay.
ISC toolbar and you see PowerShell icon on the ISC toolbar? Not there, not there. This one, yeah. And click on the third icon from there, right side. Right side, right side. Yep, yep. Third one, yep. Yep. Thank you. Sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so actually I need to show the script pane as well, because if I show you only this, you will be unable to see the output. So that is the reason I have
Okay.
given. So
Sure. Then go ahead.
like I told you, it's set execution policy remote sign. So if before executing this command, let me tell you one thing. Maybe you will be unable to find any output with respect to my PowerShell window, because this command set execution policy remote signed, it needs to be run only once. So for the first time when you are running your PowerShell, you need to have your digital signature done. Once that is done, you don't need to do it again and again. But still, I am running it for you. See, so once I runs this command, there is an option which is coming up as the execution policy helps protect from scripts that you don't trust. Changing the execution policy might expose you to all security risk. And so there is an option of yes, yes to all, no, no to all, and suspend. So let's click on yes to all. Okay, so let me work on my PowerShell.
Yeah, you have to run it as an admin. So the error message, if you go back, it will clearly tell the error message is you don't have admin rights. So when you launch ISC, by default, it runs under, currently logged on user credential, and it doesn't run as admin rights, under admin rights. So
fine. So I will just take this command from here. So I have opened the PowerShell in the admin console, in the admin mode. So if I type set hyphen execution policy remote signed, and if I press on enter, there is an option of Y for yes and A to yes to all. So let me put A and see, it's done. Okay. Now once this is done, let me go with this command $user credential hyphen get credential. So just see what happens. Once I press enter, it is actually asking me the user ID and password. So for this particular session, I have created a demo tenant. So I have a demo tenant. So let me put my user ID and password. So I am actually now connected. Now let's connect to Exchange Online account. So I am connected. Now, if I am working from some other tenant, maybe in some other location, and if this particular connection URI was not right for that particular location, the allow redirection command or allow redirection switch will help you to automatically redirect it to the correct connection URI based on that location. Okay. Now, how to know that whether I am hooked up or not? So let's now import all the Exchange Online commandlets or online CMDlets to my session. So how you will understand that whether the CMDlets are coming? So you can see a bar coming on the top of this PowerShell window. See, so it's actually downloading all those commands and everything. And once it is actually downloaded all those commands, so you will actually get that script module. This is the module type, that is the script it has downloaded. This is the version name. And since basically all the PowerShell CMDlets actually works on CC++ and on VB.NET. So there is a G4G extension with the help of, this is the package where all the CMDlets are stored, and it's actually downloaded it. So let me give you an idea that whether we are connected or not. So just I will run a single command to see what are the mailbox that is there in this in my particular console. So the command is get hyphen mailbox, and I will try enter. See, so it has shown me all the usernames and password, all the usernames basically, not the password, sorry, me wrong. So it has shown me all the user accounts, all the server names, the send quota and all those things. Okay, so this is the way we can actually connect on Exchange Online PowerShell. And if you want to connect with your GUI mode, how you can do that? So let us just log into your to our Office 365. It's portal.microsoftonline.com. This is my tenant. Okay, and here I provide the password. And this is your console. Now if you want to go to Exchange Administrative Console, so first you have to go to the Administrative Console. From there you can move to Exchange Administrative Console. So I just click on Admin. Okay, this is the Administrative Console, and at the last option there is an option of Admin Center. So if you just expand that, you will find administrative consoles, administrative GUI for all Office 365 products, like for Exchange, for your Skype for Business, for SharePoint, for OneDrive and everything. And if you just click on Exchange, so in another window, it will actually go to the EAC, the Exchange Administrative Center. Okay, so this is the Exchange Administrative Console that I was talking about. So in this particular session, I have shown you how to work on a dashboard, that is the Exchange Administrative Center, as well as I have shown you how to work on Exchange PowerShell. Okay, so I'm just disconnecting my disconnecting my desktop session. So I will just stop for a few minutes to know whether you guys have any question regarding this connections and all those things.
So I have a question, Abhijit, for you.
Yeah.
This is Neeraj.
Yeah.
So you talked about this connection, the URI that you specified, and if we allow, we say allow redirection, so it will redirect me to the closest data center of my O365 or O365 tenant. What happens in case of Germany? Because as far as I know, Germany is an isolated national cloud. Do we have offering of O365 as in case of Azure? So we have Azure National Cloud available in Germany. So do we also have O365 in Germany as a part of National Cloud, or it is still part of global O365?
It is still part of global O365. Like in Azure, it's not part of the national cloud. But I can share you certain links where you can see what are the closest URI for the particular location. And
Okay.
if you don't want to go with that link, if you use the command or if you use the switch allow redirection, so based on the tenant that the user ID and password for the tenant that you have provided, so what Microsoft is currently doing is that based on the location, like if you are in India and if you are procuring an Office 365 license, the entire tenant will be actually deployed in India data center. So this is the location specific tenant policies that Microsoft has created. So if you are in Singapore and if you have procured a license in Singapore, or maybe if you are activating a license in Singapore, so your tenant, your data and everything will be residing on Singapore data center. So based on that, this allow redirection will actually redirect you to the location specific URI. So you don't have to worry about that. You only have to worry if you are not providing the switch hyphen allow redirection. So if you are not providing that switch, then you have to be very specific about the URI that you are connecting.
Okay. Thank you for answering my question. I have another question. Is there, if I'm in a corporate environment and if I want to connect, obviously, when you work in corporate environment, you have very restrictive firewall rules. Do we need to open, any kind of ports to allow this remote function?
So there are Office 365 ports which you need to open. Now, there is a URL which you need to open in case of Office 365 connecting through PowerShell. So I have provided it in the chat. It's protection.office365.com. This is one URL that you have to open. Another is https outlook.office365.com/EAC. So these are the two ports, or these are the two URLs that you need to open in your Office 365 in order to connect with PowerShell. And apart from that, there are certain ports that is there. Basically 443 is the port which is actually used to connect with PowerShell.
Okay, so we don't require anything other than 443, which is SSL port, right?
No. It's actually on SSL only.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Yeah, guys. So, any other question? Okay, fine.
Don't have any questions.
So I think I can move to the next slide. So I have already shown you the demo. Now let's work on the next topic. So working on Exchange recipients. So in this slide, I will actually give you an idea about how many recipients that is there in Exchange. So there are many recipient types which is there in Exchange. So with respect to recipients, there are actually 6 types of recipients which you can create in an Office 365 environment. First is user mailboxes. So I haven't defined anything about user mailboxes because it is actually known to everyone. The email IDs that you are creating, it's actually the user mailboxes that you are creating, right? So this is one type of recipient type which you create. Okay. Second is distribution group. So distribution group is actually a particular group which is actually used for message distribution. So I can give you a classic example. Like everyone is working on corporates, right? Maybe on corporate and maybe on companies. So each and every companies is having in their websites, there are certain email IDs which is given, like sales@xyz.com, info@xyz.com, right? So if it's a structured environment, if the company's IT is actually structured, So this particular email ID, sales@xyz.com and info@xyz.com, these are actually not mailboxes. That means any mail sent to these email IDs will not store these mails. Okay. So these mail IDs is actually distribution mail IDs, or we call it as in Exchange language we call it as DLs, the distribution lists, right? So any mails forwarded to this mail IDs will actually, or any mail sent to these mail IDs will actually forward it to the members who are part of this distribution group. So I will show you how to create a distribution group with both with GUI and with a PowerShell. So each and every of this distribution group is actually there is an option of creating email IDs for this distribution groups, and any mail sent to this distribution group will actually forward it to the members under that distribution group. Not only that, there is an option in distribution group creation where you can create a distribution group only for your internal users. That means if anyone from external wants to send a mail to this distribution list or to these email IDs, those mails will be rejected. So external recipients or external sender you can actually block, or you can actually allow for particular distribution group. So I will actually show you. Apart from that, there is another recipient type which is known as dynamic distribution group. So dynamic distribution group is actually used filters to create group membership. Like in Exchange, you can create group membership, right? So there may be couple of users who belongs to sales department. There may be couple of users who belongs to IT department, couple of users who belongs to finance department. So based on these groups, you can actually create an organizational unit. You can actually create a hierarchy in Exchange based on these groups, and you can create dynamic distribution group like finance@xyz.com. So only users who are part of this finance group can only send mails to this finance group. Or maybe a user of finance, maybe there are two users, one from finance, another for sales, and finance and sales are actually both are they trust with each other. They trust each other. So only sales@xyz.com can send mails to finance, and finance can send mails to sales. So you can actually create policies based on dynamic distribution group, right? In big corporates, like maybe in Microsoft, maybe and I have seen in other companies as well. So in order to book a conference room, right? So there are certain email IDs which are assigned for rooms. We call it as resource mailboxes, right? There are email IDs which is actually configured for devices. Like I have one printer in my office, and that printer is actually hooked up with my local Active Directory. So what happens is that it's actually not a printer, it's a printer come copier come scanner, means it's a multifunctional device. So once I scan a particular document in that printer and I select option, means I select my username. So my username is having my email ID is also configured on that, and I click on send. So the document actually gets scanned in my printer, and the soft copy of that particular scanned document automatically goes to my email ID, right? So the reason behind this is that I have created a resource mailbox for my printer, and there is an email ID which is actually tagged with that resource mailbox, and that particular resource is whatever the things that is done on that particular resource, it can actually communicate with your email ID. So that is known as resource mailbox. So unfortunately, I cannot show you how to create a resource mailbox because I don't have any resources currently connected with my laptop. But definitely, I will in the presentations which we will be downloading from our site. You will be finding commands in how to create a resource mailbox. So if you want to create a resource mailbox in your organization, you can actually do it, right? Fifth is mail contacts. So what is mail contacts? So I was actually looking for a question, maybe a question which I was thinking many of you can ask, is that we are working on Exchange Online. Many of you know that Exchange only works on Active Directory. Now where is the Active Directory? I know you guys are all from cloud technologies. You know that currently Active Directory can also be there in the cloud. So it's actually, we are talking about Azure Cloud or Azure AD we are talking about. So previously, means in the when Office 365 has come up in the market with Exchange 2013, this Azure Active Directory was not part of Office 365 SKU. That means if you are procuring Office 365 license, you are not getting an Azure Active Directory. But now if you are procuring an Office 365 license, you are actually getting a very small portion of Azure Active Directory. We call it as Azure Active Directory Basic. So that basic portion is there with Azure AD. So it actually gets integrated with your Exchange, and you can do couple of works of Active Directory on that, like creating company branding, assigning policies, maybe creating mail contacts. Like there will be user IDs in Active Directory. Like this is what is mail contacts. What mail contacts does is that you can actually create user IDs in your Active Directory. Like if you are having a domain, say cloudeasy.com, right? So you can have a user neeraj@cloudeasy.com, but neeraj@cloudeasy.com user's email ID can be avijit@smartplanet.co.in. Okay, so the user's AD contact will be there in your Active Directory, but that particular user will be connected with some external email address. So that is what mail contacts is all about. And the last recipient types is mail user. Last recipient type is mail user. So in this mail user, actually what we can do is that AD user with login credential but external email address. So in mail contacts, only the AD users will be there, but the user will not be having a sign-on rights. So that particular user ID cannot sign into your organization tenant, cannot sign in with your Active Directory. It can reside on your Active Directory connecting with some external email address, but once that mail contract is transferred into a mail user contact, what happens is that it will be having a login credential. That means with the help of that user ID, a user can log in with your Azure Active Directory. If he or she will not be having any mailbox in your account, I mean in your tenant, and the email ID will be connected with an external email address. Okay, so these are the 6 type of recipient types. Apart from this, there are other collaboration mail types. Like there are collaboration mailboxes which you can create. So you can create a shared mailbox. Shared mailbox means a particular email ID which is actually accessed by multiple users. So you can say me like, what's new to that? Like there will be an email ID and there will be a password. There are 10 users who will be knowing this password and they can actually log in with that password. So it's actually, in concept is not like that. So you can create a shared mailbox, and a user, like I am having a shared mailbox of mine, means my team is having a shared mailbox of mine. So I actually logs in with my email ID avijit.c@smartplanet.co.in. So once I logs in Outlook, I can actually view mails of my email ID, my own email ID, as well as I can see mails of that shared email ID as well. So I don't know the user ID and password of that shared email ID, but since I am part of the shared mailbox, so I am having an option of viewing it. And not only that, you can also create permissions, like maybe there are 4 users, out of which you want 2 users can send mails from that shared mailbox, and 2 users can only view mails from that shared mailbox. So you can also create permissions on that. And not to tell you that these permissions can only be set in PowerShell. You cannot create permissions of shared mailbox in graphical user mode. So if you want to create any shared mailbox permission, there is only one option. You have to go with PowerShell. Okay. Second collaboration mailbox type is public folders. Like each and every one of you knows public folders. So public folders is actually folders in your mail organization, which is actually shared between different departments. People can share documents. People can share invitations. People can share meeting requests with the help of this public folders. Anything updated within the public folders is actually known to each and every member within that particular public folder. Okay. Third is site mailbox. So since Office 365 is a collaboration of mail messaging solution in the form of Exchange Online and document management solution in the form of SharePoint. So in Office 365, we can integrate SharePoint with Exchange, right? So suppose you want to create official you want to create a document, you have uploaded a document, there is an approval process which you have designed in your SharePoint, maybe an HRMS solution, human resource management solution that you have designed in SharePoint. Any user who wants to take a leave, the approval of that leave will automatically flow to its hierarchy manager, right? A mail will go to his hierarchy manager if a user asks for a leave. So it's actually can be created in SharePoint and then integrated with Exchange. So all these workflow mails, approval mails, or whatever the things that you want to do in SharePoint, it can be integrated with this site mailbox. And actually, you can actually create site based on site. Like if you have different sites within your organization, so you can actually create based on those sites. You can actually create site mailboxes. Likewise, the last collaboration mailbox type is team mailbox. So team mailbox is like you will also be knowing that Microsoft has come up with Microsoft Teams, right? So Skype for Business will be obsolete from July 2019. Official date is yet to released by Microsoft. What Microsoft is telling that Microsoft has come up with Microsoft Teams, a single solution for collaboration, authentication, your audio video conferencing and everything. So from July 2019, this is the probable date that Microsoft has so far sent to the customers, to the partners, that from 2019 July, officially Skype for Business will be taken out of Office 365 portfolio, and Microsoft Teams will take over Skype for Business. So currently you can create team mailboxes like we can create a team mailbox like cloud specialists at cloudeasy.com. So we can create a team mailbox and we can actually communicate with each other, right? So that is possible. So this is what team mailbox is all about. So these are the recipient types which is there in Exchange Online. So any question, because we are actually having shortage of time. We have only 30 minutes, so I have to show lots of demos still left. So any questions on this? Or can I move to the demo portion? Okay. So again, I am stopping my presentation sharing, and I am going back and sharing my desktop. So guys, just let me know if you can see my desktop.
Yep, it's loading.
Yeah. So guys, can you view it?
Yes, I can see it, Abhijit.
And what about others? You can just write in the chat if anyone is unable to view the desktop. Great. So whatever the recipients that I showed you, let me first show you how to create a particular recipient. It's very easy. It's actually a child's play in creating a user ID in Office 365. Let me show you in the graphics, in the GUI mode, in the admin console, how to create it. Then we will show you in PowerShell how to create it. So let me go back to my Office 365 admin console. Here it is. I am in the admin console. Now, if you can go to the user sections and then go to active users. So there is already users which are created out here. Okay. So I think I am having a scarcity of license. So I think I have to delete couple of users. Let me see. I think all the licenses are already used. Yeah, all the licenses are already used. So let me delete couple of users. Then I think I can show you. So it's actually takes some time because it has to delete the user IDs. It has to delete the corresponding reference in the Azure Active Directory. It has to delete the mailboxes. And so while it is deleting it, let me ask you one question. So the Active Directory guys who knows Active Directory, they will be knowing this term. Anyone in this session knows what is tombstone? It's Tombstone. It's tombstone. So can you tell me the Raviraj? Can you tell me exactly to restore the user object? So can you tell me the tombstone value, current tombstone value of Windows Server 2016? What is the default tombstone value of Windows Server 2016? Vipin, I am telling you what is the default tombstone value of Windows Server 2016. So the default tombstone value is 90 days in Windows Server 2016. In Windows Server 2012 R2 it was 45 days, which we can, with the help of ADSI edit, means by editing the schema we can actually increase it to 90 days. In Windows Server 2016 the default value is actually 90 days, and by doing the schema edit we can increase to 180 days. So you guys were right. The maximum tombstone lifetime that we can set is 180 days. But for Azure Active Directory, the default tombstone value is 30 days. So I have deleted couple of users. So now I think I have, yep, fine. So now I have 30 license free. Okay. So let's just go and create a particular user. Okay. So you just have to go to users and active users and then click on add a user. Here you can give the user name, the display name. It's AzureTalk. AzureTalk. So this is my domain name. It's pretty big, so it's automatically created by Microsoft demo environment. Once you do that, you are having an option of entering all the contact details. So like job title, department, office phone number, everything you can do it. Even if you have forgotten to put all those details in while creating a user, I will show you I will show you a way where you can go back and you can re-enter all this data. Okay, so then if you go to password, you can actually there is an option of creating an auto-generated password. So Office 365 will automatically create a password for you, and there is an option of let me create my own password. So likewise in Active Directory, we have in Active Directory, there is a particular password complexity that you have to maintain, right? So there will be one upper letter, there will be one alphanumeric, there will be one numeric. So, and the minimum password length is start from 8 and maximum is 29. So let me go for an auto-generate password. Like in Active Directory, there is an option of user must change password at first logon. Likewise, there is an option of make this user change this password when they first sign in. So let me create my own password. It's okay. In the role section, so there is a separate slide for this. So in the role section, you can create whether this user will be having any roles or not. So it can be a normal user with no administrative access. It can be a global administrator. So global administrator is like enterprise admin with respect to Active Directory. Or you can assign RBAC, role based access control, or for this particular user. So if you want to create a customized administrator, so there are the options of customized administration. So the user can be a billing administrator, the user can be an exchange administrator, a 365 administrator, or maybe a user management administrator as well. But if you select any customized administration role, you have to give an alternate email address for this particular user, right? So let me create a normal user first. So it's AzureTalk @ okay. Now once this roles is selected, you have an option of assigning product license. So let me assign an user E5 license. Okay. Now once you assign a E5 license, you can further granularly bifurcate the license. Like if you want this particular user to have only exchange rights, okay, so you can do it. Or maybe if you want a user to have an Office 365 rights, Office 365 E5 rights. So if the user only wants to have an exchange rights, what you can do is that you just can stop this particular exchange online. So once you put this off, when you make this switch off, the user will get all the license. The user can use all the services of Office 365 except exchange. Okay. And that's it. Or also you can create a user without any product license. So suppose you want to, like for my organization, I have created a user name to rescue my particular account. Like if my admin account get lost, so I have one user known as rescue. I have one user known as rescue @smartplanet.co.in. With that user doesn't have any license assigned, but it is having a global administrator assigned, global administrative rights assigned. So the user can actually log in. The user can actually log in and can do the administrative tasks. So with the help of which you can actually create user without product license. So if you just select this, the user will be created without a product license. So just add it. You can send this particular password. So if you click on show, you can actually see this is the password. Okay. So you can send this password to any user's mailbox, like a new user joining who doesn't have a corporate email ID. So you can actually use and send this to his personal mail ID. Okay. So see, so my user is actually created. So once a user is created, and if that particular user is having an exchange online rights, so Office 365 takes some time to create the mailbox for that user. And if you select this particular user, you can further assign policies for that particular user. So if you now click on mail settings, you can see that we are preparing a mailbox for this user. But even if you want to change, like once you create a particular user and you doesn't want to wait for some time for the mailbox to be created, so you can actually edit Exchange properties by going to Exchange admin console. So I will show you. So just click on, just close. Okay. So this is the way you can create a particular user. Now, if you want to create a particular distribution group, now how you can do it, you just have to go to groups and click on groups. Just a second. So you can actually go to groups, click on groups. So see, these are the distribution groups or the distribution list which has been already created. So for marketing, for sales and everyone, the users is actually created. So let me create a group for you. So it will be a distribution list. The group name will be Cloud Easy. The email ID will be cloudeasy@m365, means whatever the domain name, and DL for Cloud Easy members. Okay. So once I was telling about distribution group, I told you that there is an option where you can restrict a particular distribution group to be used from outside external people. So this is the option. Allow people outside of my organization to send email to this distribution group. So if you just put it off, so this particular email ID, if anyone sends email to this Cloud Easy email ID from outside, the mails will be rejected. Okay. Just click on add. So once it is created, now you are having an option of adding member to it. Okay, so I think it's still creating. Yeah, it's still not created. So let's see from where we can find this particular group. So let's just go to the Exchange admin console, go to mailboxes. Okay, so this is my user. If you double click this particular user, so from here you can actually click on contact information. So whatever the information that you are forgotten to enter during the creation of the user, so you can actually enter all this information out here. So the street, city, state, province, phone numbers. If you want to select organization, so you can select the title, the department, the company. Not only that, the beautiful thing of Office 365 is that if your current organization doesn't have an organization chart, the org chart prepared, so you can actually prepare the org chart from this particular user, from this Office 365. So like if this particular user AzureTalk's manager, if you want to put a manager for it, so suppose AzureTalk manager is this MOD administrator, so you can just click on OK. So now admin is the manager for this, and once you select this particular username in your Outlook and go to organization, so you can actually select the hierarchy. Okay. So from here you can actually see the mailboxes. So since the user haven't logged in, because I haven't logged into the Office 365 with this username and password. So it is showing that user hasn't logged in. By default, since I am using an E5 license, so I am having an 100 GB of mailbox for this particular user. Okay. So this is the way you can actually create a distribution group. You can edit a user properties. Distribution. SHA distribution list cannot be edited by owners from Outlook. Yeah, definitely if the member owners, because each and every distribution group is having an owner. So from that, from the Outlook, if a particular user is owner of a particular distribution list, he can actually edit it. So that is possible. Raviraj, once I reach whether it will show 100 GB, is that right? No, so 100 GB, if you are assigning 100 GB if you are assigning 100 GB space for a particular user, so it actually doesn't take 100 GB. It actually takes some portion of that particular storage is actually assigned for some other log purposes. So though we call it as we have 100 GB of mailbox, but actually it gets 99 GB. So is it okay, Raviraj? Yeah. So SHA Shah, what I am telling is that if you are a owner of a particular distribution list, you can edit it from your Outlook. So you can accept members, you can add members, you can change the properties of a particular DL. So that is possible with Outlook. But definitely you need to have an owner. You need to be an owner of that particular distribution list. So I will show you how to add an owner. Okay. So now let's go to the groups. So let's find our group. Yep. So this is the group. Double click it. First is the ownership, right? So like Shah was telling, so the user who has created this particular DL by default becomes the owner of that particular DL. Apart from that, if you want to add any additional user, you can also add that. All these users means the owners of a distribution list can actually edit the properties of a distribution list or can add members. Means for adding members or changing the properties, they doesn't have to log into this particular admin console. From the Outlook itself, he or she can actually change the properties of the membership of a distribution group. Okay. Go to membership. So currently there are no members. So let's add AzureTalk in that particular membership. Okay. Membership approval. So like in case of you may be seeing creation of groups in Facebook, right? So while you create a group, the group ownership, the group approval can be an open. That means anyone can join in that group. It doesn't need an approval from an admin. It can be a closed. So closed means the owners of that particular distribution list can only add those users. Or it can be an owner approval, means you can join, but unless and until the owners approve it, you will not become a member to that particular group. So these are the options. Delivery management, like only senders inside my organization can send. Okay. If you want sender inside and outside, you can select this, and you can actually filter email IDs. Like if you want that only AzureTalk email ID can send this to this group, so you just have to add AzureTalk. So what will happen is that only this AzureTalk user can send email to this particular distribution group. Okay. The message approval, whatever the message that is there in the distribution group will be only posted in the distribution group once it is approved by a particular admin. Email options. This is the by default email option. So if you want to create an alias of this, So you can also create an alias, info@cloudeasy.com. Okay. So this is the default SMTP address and this is the alias. So email sent to cloudeasy .onmicrosoft.com. If anyone sends email to this email ID, this will also get delivered, as well as if someone sends an email ID to info@cloudeasy.com. So that is also possible. So this distribution list will receive mails for that email ID as well. Okay. So this is the way we can create a distribution group. Okay. Now, if I want to create the same distribution group with the help of PowerShell, let me show you how we can do it with the help of PowerShell. So first let me show you. So this is the command with the help of which you can actually create a user in PowerShell. Okay, so I am disconnected. So let's connect back. Okay, so I think see, so I have created a user. This is the default password for that particular user. So if I go back to my admin console and let's search for it, so let's check whether that user is created or not. See, so you can see that the user is created with an enterprise license of security E5. By default, the sign-in is allowed. Okay, so it has no admin access. So by default, with the help of PowerShell, you can also give an admin access to that. Okay. Now, likewise, if you want to remove this particular user, so let's show you how to remove this particular user. So the command is remove -msol user -user principal name, and I have to give the entire email ID. So continue with this operation. Yes. Let's find out whether this user is present or not. Get -msol user -identity. See, the operation could not be performed because the object Avijit C could not be found because I have deleted it. Okay, so let's see whether the user is deleted or not. So you will find all this command in later in our website. So I will be publishing the manual of this command in with the presentation. So you can download all these commands from the website itself. So let's see whether the user is deleted or not. So I just have to go to deleted users and let's find Avijit. See, the user is in deleted condition. Okay. So if you want to restore a particular user from GUI, you can just select the user and then click on restore. Okay. And if you want to restore the user from PowerShell, the command is restore MOSL user. See, the user is restored and its license is true. So by default, when a user is actually restored, so if you refresh it, you will unable to find it. Go to active users. See, the user is actually restored. Okay. Now, if you want to remove the license from that particular user, so this is the command. So you have to know the exact license that the user has been assigned with. So I have assigned this license So I've assigned this license, so I am just removing this license from the user. No, I think, let me see the license that I've assigned. So it will be Enterprise EMS Premium. Fine. Okay. Now let's see whether the user is having any license or not. Let's just refresh it. See, the user is now unlicensed. Sundaram, yeah, it will restore along with its mailbox. So it's not like Exchange that first you restore, if you delete a user from Active Directory, then you restore the user from Active Directory, and then again you have to reconnect the mailbox to that particular user. In Office 365, once you are removing a particular user and then restoring it, it will not only restore his mailboxes, but it will also restore its any documents if it is saved in OneDrive or any things which is there in SharePoint. So SHA assigning E3 license, it's same. So likewise, I showed you. So you just have to know the exact term or the exact license name that is assigned. So for your particular tenant. So if you want to know the license name, the command is get -msol accounts queue, and if you press enter, so you can actually see the accounts queue ID. So this is the accounts queue ID. So if you want to assign a E3 license, the E3 license accounts queue ID will be Enterprise Premium. Okay, so you just use the accounts queue ID along with the tenant name, so you can assign an E3 license to a user. Okay. See, there is no particular commandlets to assign a particular service for a particular license. Like for E3, if you want to stop Skype for business, so there is no particular command, but definitely that can be done with the help of a script. Or definitely you can go to the GUI mode and you can do it. So if you want to know the script, or if you want to have that script, so please do ping me on the Telegram group chat. In you can also ping me one to one, and I will share the command lines to run that particular script. Okay. If you remove the license, he won't have mailbox or any other features, right? What else he can do with that account? So Shanmuga, the question is not very much clear to me. So guys, let me complete it, and then definitely I will ask the questions. I will go for the questions. Okay. So likewise, if you want to block, like currently, if you see to this Office 365 user, the sign-in status is allowed, right? Sign-in status is allowed. Now, if you want to block the sign-in status, so this is the command to block a sign-in status. So here the user account will be there, services will be there, but user will be unable to log in. So let's go and click that user and see whether the sign-in status is disabled or not. See, the sign-in is blocked. Okay, and likewise, if you want to allow it, so just go for $true. So it's actually takes some time for to get the things reflected. So we will see it. So before doing that, let me assign a license to that particular user, because we will be needing this license. Okay, so doing it, let me go it with the graphical user mode. And let's assign a license for him. Okay, so done. Okay. Now let me show you about how to create a distribution group. Okay. So this is the command of creating a distribution group. So I will create a distribution group named as manager. Basically, it will be a security group. So I will create a distribution group with the name as manager. So let me show you how this can be done. See, so this group is created. So it will take some time to get reflected in the portal. Let us see whether it is there in the admin console. See, so the distribution group with manager at the email ID and everything is automatically assigned. So the distribution group is created. Now, if you want to assign a particular member in this particular distribution group, so let's see how you can assign a member in this distribution group. So let me create a distribution group as IT department, and let's assign a member on that. Okay, so IT department is created. Let's see whether IT department is created or not. See, so IT department is created, and if I go to membership, see, so Avijit Chakravarti is by default added. Neeraj, can you just unmute? Neeraj, can you hear me?
Yes, Abhijit.
Yeah, I'm here.
Neeraj,
Yeah.
I think the session is from 8:30 to 10, and still I have another half an hour of session left. So shall we continue the rest part in the next session, or can I continue now?
Yeah, so probably it would be a good idea if we can cover this session, in the next week session, so we can cover that because it's almost
It's
15 minutes
already
past
15
allotted
minutes
time.
past the session time.
Yep.
Okay, guys. So there are a couple of other things which is already there in this presentation. So let me continue the session in next day's time. Neeraj, I think we need to take this session instead of 2 days. We need to do it 3 days because there are lots of questions which is coming. There are lots of things which needs to be shown. I think we have to think whether we can do this in 3 days rather than doing it in 2 days.
Sure. We can take that call.
Yeah. Okay. So, guys, I am ending my presentation out here, and I am stopping my desktop sharing. So now I am open for questions. So let me unmute you all, guys.
So,